In the last video, I talked about President Trump's proposed budget guidance for 2026, and there were some really steep cuts in that budget. But in this video, I want to talk about the tax cuts because the drop in revenue for the federal government that will result from these tax cuts is the reason why all of these spending cuts are necessary. So let's look at what the revenue impact of the tax cuts is going to be. So the tax cuts that have been proposed so far would cost $3.3 trillion more than the $4.5 trillion allocated in the House budget resolution. So let's see what additional tax cuts have been added. So the tax cuts from Donald Trump's first term are set to expire this year, but the renewal of them is that line over on the far left. That would take the tax cuts from Donald Trump's first term, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and it would make those tax cuts permanent, which would reduce federal revenue by another $4.9 trillion. New taxes are these other ones here. So no tax on Social Security would reduce federal revenues by $1.4 trillion, restoring the full deduction for SALT, which is state and local taxes, which can be deducted from your federal income tax. That would reduce the federal revenue by 1.2 trillion. No tax on overtime pay is another 882 billion, lowering the corporate rate to 15% for domestic production, another 428 billion. No tax on tips, 139 billion. And the deduction for auto loan interest for cars made in America would be another 72 billion. And if those tax cuts, the lost revenue as a result of those tax cuts aren't offset by cuts in spending, then that could increase the deficits by another 9.1 trillion over a 10-year period. So if you're wondering why everything's getting cut so steeply, this is it. The trade-off for the tax cuts is less spending on government programs.